Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to another exciting edition of the American Revolution, Lesson 8. All right, so today, of course, what you need to succeed is your American Revolution Metro text, a pencil, and of course, your highlighter. Today, we are going to be learning about context clues, and we're going to start with a new story. This is our first read on pages 14 and 15. Okay, so go ahead and turn to those pages. I want you to be looking for any difficult or unfamiliar words. Okay, circle those, highlight those. I also want you to look for the 3 words that are listed right here: dispatches, mob, prosperity. Okay, when we come across those, even as I read and you're following along, circle them, highlight them, so that you can go back and we can figure out their meanings using our context clues. All right, are you ready to begin? Okay. A Loyalist's Daughter, adapted from the diary of Miss Anna Rall. A great number of colonists took up the cause of independence, but many chose to remain loyal to Great Britain. These loyalists, as they became known, were often viewed with suspicion and anger by their patriot neighbors. This passage was written by a loyalist, Anna Rall, who lived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania during the Revolution. In this excerpt, Rall describes her feelings and experiences after the final British surrender following the Battle of Yorktown on October 19th, 1781. October 22nd, 1781. The first thing I heard this morning was that Lord Cornwallis had surrendered to the French and Americans. The news is as surprising as it is disturbing. Uncle Howell came in soon after breakfast, and though he is neither Whig nor Tory, looked as if he had sat up all night. He was glad to see all here so cheerful, he said. When he was gone, Ben Shoemaker arrived. He was told it as he came along and was astonished. However, as there is no letter from Washington, we flatter ourselves that it is not true. October 24th, 1781. I am in a most unsettled humor. I can neither read, work, or give my attention one moment to anything. It is too true that Cornwallis is taken. Tillman is just arrived with dispatches from General Washington, which confirm it. My friends and I have had long conversations on the melancholy situation of things. October 25th, 1781. Last night a mob surrounded our house, broke the shutters and the glass of the windows, and were coming in. We for a time listened for their attacks in fear. Not knowing what to do, we ran into the yard. We had not been there many minutes before we were drove back by the sight of 2 men climbing the fence. We thought the mob were coming in through there, but it proved to be Coburn and Shewell. They called to us not to be frightened and pacified the mob. Had it not been for them, I really believe the house would have been pulled down. In short, it was the most alarming scene I ever remember. For 2 hours we had the disagreeable noise of stones banging about, glass crashing, and the tumultuous voices of a large body of men. October 26th, 1781. Polly Folk and James Fisher came to see us in the evening, the conversation as usual on the late disturbances. It seems universally agreed that Philadelphia will no longer be that happy place for us that it once was. Those joyful days when all was prosperity and peace are gone, never to return. Okay, if you take a look up here at this photo, one of the captions says Philadelphia during the American Revolution. And then this picture says Tench Tillman, an aide to George Washington, delivered the news of the surrender at Yorktown to the Continental Congress in Philadelphia. And he's mentioned, of course. Down here is a picture of Lord Charles Cornwallis. He was the British commander who surrendered to American French forces at the Battle of Yorktown. All right, if you take a look on page 14, you should have circled or highlighted dispatches. Dispatches are official messages sent quickly. So circle that and then go ahead and write in the definition. So it says Tillman has just arrived with dispatches from General Washington. Official messages that were sent quickly. And this is kind of a picture of what it looked like. Now, I can't even read that really. They used to write with an ink feathered pen, like a quill. So they dip it in ink and then they would write. And that's exactly what it looks like. All right, on page 15, I circled the word mob. And mob is a large group of disorderly or angry people. So here it's talking about last night a mob surrounded our our house, broke the shutters, and the glass of the windows were coming in. So they were obviously disorderly and angry. And then here is a photo of what a mob possibly looked like at that time. Okay, on page 15, I circled prosperity. So prosperity means having wealth, success, good fortune. So what she's mentioning here is that those days of wealth, success, and good fortune are gone. And it's showing a very prosperous town. And peace, I think that's what it's also showing. So your learning goals today are, I can use context clues outside of a sentence to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words. And there were a lot of difficult words in there that maybe you didn't know. I can use print or digital resources to confirm the definitions of words. So print or digital would be pictures in the book. Okay. So context clues. We've got what we're looking for is information in other sentences. So if you take a look on page 14, I circled the word unsettled. I also bracketed Lord Cornwallis had surrendered to the French and Americans. I also put brackets around disturbing. So our unfamiliar word is unsettled. Okay, our context clue is how Anna is feeling. She's feeling disturbed. Excuse me. Our inference, what we know, is that she is upset. So our definition would be upset. This word, melancholy, maybe some of you circled that. So I bracketed, I can neither read, work, or give my attention one moment to anything. It is too true that Cornwallis is taken. So our unfamiliar word is melancholy. Our context clue is what's happening. This is what's happening. Our inference here is like what we know from reading the story, what we can infer is that loyalists are worried. They're all worried. They were loyal to Great Britain. So our definition here is sad. So melancholy means sad. So I have had long conversations on the sad situation of things. Guess what? It's your turn. Determine the meanings of pacified and tumultuous on page 15. I want you to use context clues to determine the meaning of the words. Then use a dictionary to confirm the meanings are correct. So figure out your context clues first and then go to a dictionary. Okay? You can look up a dictionary in Google. Pause here, come back when you're done. It might be 5 minutes, it might be 10. Go ahead. And welcome back. All right. So here we go, page 15. I circled the word pacified. Okay. I also highlighted, had it not been for them, I really believe the house would have been pulled down. So our unfamiliar word is pacified. What our context clue is what might have happened to the house. Okay? Our inference is that the mob left or they calmed down. So our definition here for pacified is calmed down. You know, I've maybe you've heard pacified being used when it comes to a baby. The baby was pacified by the rocking, so it calmed down. Tumultuous. So tumultuous, I put brackets around disagreeable noise of stones banging about, glass crashing. All right, so our unfamiliar word, of course, is tumultuous. So our context clue is sounds. It's describing sounds. We can infer that it's loud, scary sounds. So our definition is loud or scary. How'd you do? All right. Are you a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1? How did you do when you had to do the your turn part? Can you use context clues outside of a sentence to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words? And can you use print or digital resources to confirm the definitions of the words? So like the dictionary, for instance. All right. Put your number, 4321, in your top right-hand corner. And I will see you tomorrow.